G'day, Brad Scott here from The Naked Zombie. Now, if you like geek apparel, if you like cool, geek, nerdy, awesome collectible toys like bobbleheads from The Walking Dead, great t-shirts from Doctor Who, and all the fun stuff that makes us nerds unique, well then you need to go to Zombie Steve's. Now, you'll find them at
www.zombiesteves.com.au.
Oh my lord.
You go there and you will find the best in what the geeks can get their hands on. I'm Brad Scott. I endorse this message.
Seriously.
It is time, once again, to lock your doors, shut your windows, strap yourself into your favorite comfy chair, and tune out and tune into The Naked Zombie.
G'day boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of The Naked Zombie. Tonight we are recording not in the Zombie Mobile, which was a fun night.
It was.
It was a
Something
funny night.
new and interesting.
Yeah,
and
so we might do that a bit more often, actually, doing the Zombie Mobile chats.
coming to a neighbourhood near you.
Yeah, we could be parked outside your house right now, stalking you, watching you through your bathroom window. Well, works for me. I don't know about
Giving
you.
away free paddle pops and this week's issue of Women's Day.
Anyway, tonight... Oh, hello, Liam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate, good. Tonight we are doing crazy cults. Yeah, that's right. We are going to be talking about all the weird and wacky crazy cults out there that have been... We've had the pleasure to have, personally experienced. I mean, seriously, look, I want to start my own cult. The cult of the zombie. What do you reckon?
I think it's doable.
I think it's doable, yes, but there is one major condition. The only member is allowed to be between the 18 to 25 female claddly scad bikini models. Why are you looking at me? You fit in that category, don't you? Anyway, so we're doing crazy cults. Now, this was recommended because we're doing the 5 nights a week show, and we've got a really good show coming on tomorrow night. I thought we actually might make a bit of a start when it comes to the weirdness that is cults. Now, we've all heard about cults. Now, basically cults, if you don't know, or spiritual groups in that sense, are basically where one nutter stands at the front proclaiming he's something, and for some strange reason, people believe him and have followers. That's the Brad version of it.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to get into Scientology or anything like that. We're going to go the ones a little bit off different. Now, you probably heard about them, and some of these are quite sad at the same time because these cults usually take people down with them and mass suicides and all the rest of it. Now, the first one I want to talk about tonight is called the People's Temple. Do you remember the People's Temple, mate?
I do.
Now, the People's Temple was a quasi-religious organisation founded in 1955 by an absolute nutter by the name of Jim Jones.
It's a very generic name. You wouldn't stand out in the crowd on a list of names.
The Messiah. Anyway, look, by the mid-1970s, it included over a dozen locations in California, including the headquarters in San Francisco. Now, despite his public persona as a Christian church, Jones was in fact an atheist. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He was an atheist who intentionally adopted the guise of the evangelical Christian preacher, evangelical. Christian preacher, and an attempt to destroy the Christian religion by replacing it with a communist ideology. Man, I am suffering bad tonight.
A case of the tongue twist.
Anyway, so the temple is best known for the events in November 18 and 1978 in Guyana, in which 920 people died at the People's Temple agricultural project.
Agricultural.
Well, I said before, don't worry about joining my cult because seriously, I have such a bad night tonight pronouncing my words. It's not funny. The agricultural project, informally and now commonly called Jonestown.
We'll just say on a farm.
On a farm somewhere. Yeah, in a farm. It's now called Jonestown. As Brad Stokes did. A nearby airstrip of Port Kitama and Georgetown, an organisation mass suicides and killings. So the mass suicide and killings at Jonestown resulted in the greatest single loss of American civilian life in a non-natural, non-accidental disaster prior to the events of September 2001. Casualties at the airstrip include, among others, a congressman by the name of Leo Ryan. Now, it basically started in Indiana. That's where it started, the formation. Look, before joining the church, Mr. Jones, as he'll be now known as the Nutter, had become enamored by the communists and frustrated by the harassment communists received in the US. Because you know how the US against the commie side of things. You know, I mean, like Ken Brockman said one day, democracy doesn't work.
Yeah, well, back sort of around that time too. You got the Cold War.
Yep. And Cold War and stuff like that. So basically, and communists received the US. This, among other things, provided a seminal inspiration for Jones, as himself described in a biographical recording. This is his quote. Should I do the Nutter voice?
Yeah.
Okay. What's a good Nutter voice? I'll do it in Pee Wee Herman. I can do Pee Wee Herman.
I decided. How can I demonstrate my maximism?
The thought was, basically, I decided how I can demonstrate my Marxism, like Karl Marx, and thought it was infiltrated the church, so he consciously made a decision to look into this prospect. Although he feared the backlash for being a communist, Jones was surprised when the Methodist superintendent, whom he had met through the American Communist Party, helped him into the church. Despite his knowledge that Jones was a communist, in 1952 Jones became a student or pastor in Somerset Southside Methodist Church in Indianapolis. Oh God, just take me out the back and hit me with a shovel. My speech is shocking tonight. But he left the church because it was barred him from integrating the African Americans into his congregation. In 1954, Jones began his own church and rented a space in Indianapolis. How do you pronounce it? Indianapolis.
Indianapolis?
Indianapolis. That's it. So, guys, I have to apologise profusely tonight. I am having a lot of trouble. Look, every now and then, you guys know I stutter. And sometimes I stutter really bad. And what happens is I cramp up when I'm trying to speak. And a lot of words I have trouble getting out. So we'll try and get past that dork thing and we'll move on. Indianapolis, and first naming of the Community Unity Church. Jones had previously witnessed a faith healing service at the Seventh-day Baptist Church where he concluded that such healings could attract people and generate income. Yes, they do. Helping accomplish his social goals, Jones and temple members knowingly faked healings because they found it would increase faith-generated financial resources to help the poor and finance the church. These healings, in inverted commas, as we call them, involved chicken livers and other animal tissue claimed by Jones and Confederate temple members to be cancerous tissues removed from the body. Now, I actually saw this on TV. They actually had one of the members actually perform these. They had him like a magician had the liver or the thing out in their hand.
Psychic surgery.
Psychic surgery, that's it. And then they'd work and see a bit of blood coming. You'd see there's no scar. And that's basically what happened. Jones and Tim, what's that? They not only faked the healings, because basically gave them money. And these chicken livers and animal tests are claimed by Jones. Now, what happens to be cancer remove the tissues removed from the body. In 1956, Jones bought his first church building. In a racially mixed Indianapolis neighborhood, he named his church Wings of Deliverance. You hear banjos?
Almost.
Squeal, piggy,
I
squeal.
was going to say that. Yeah, the more you read, the more it's heading in that direction, isn't it?
It does. And later that year, he renamed the People's Temple Full Gospel Church. The first time he used the phrase People's Temple, Jones' healings was purported clairvoyant revelations attracted spiritualists. So going in the whole psychic and spiritual healing and all the rest
sort
of it.
of changed tack there halfway through his religious career.
Oh, man, this guy gets worse. Okay. Now, they expand, of course. In order to increase publicity, the temple organised large religious conventions with other Pentecostal pastors. Jones continued to disguise the fact that he was using religions to further his social goals. The conventions drew as many as 11,000 attendees, as Jones and other practitioners conducted healings and impressed attendees by revealing private information, usually numbers such as addresses, phone numbers and social security numbers, which private detectives could easily discover beforehand. Jones and the temple members would also drive through various cities in Indiana and Ohio and recruiting and funding raising efforts. The temple stressed its ideas, asking members to attend in casual clothes so poor members would not feel out of place, and providing shelter for the needy. While the temple had increased its African American membership from 50% to nearly 50%, in order to attempt further gains, the temple hired African American preacher Archie James, who had earlier given up organised religion. Now, Pastor James was one of the first to commit to Jones' Socialist Collective program. In 1959, the church joined the Christian Church Disciples of Christ and was renamed the People's Temple Christian Church Full Gospel. He's made a few name changes, hasn't he?
It's cost him a fortune in business registrations here.
Well, I don't think it really worried him, mate. He was probably raking in a packet. This affiliation was a successful attempt for both to raise the dwindling membership and restore the reputation of the organisation. In February 1960, the temple opened up a soup kitchen for the poor and expanded their social service to include rent assistance, job placement services, and free canned goods, clothing, and coal for the winter heating. Jones and his wife helped to increase the temple's soup kitchen service to an average of about 2,800 meals per month. You can see what he's doing, eh?
Yeah.
He's marketing himself very well.
Very well. It seems 2,800 meals a month. It sounds like he's getting the popular vote. He's getting people in. Yeah,
I mean, this is where it goes all downhill. The temple's public profile was further elevated when Jones was appointed to the Indianapolis Human Rights Commission. He engaged in public attempts to integrate businesses and was the subject of much local media coverage. Changes in religious communalism. Jones had read extensively about Father Divine, the founder of the International Peace Mission movement. Jones and temple members visited Divine several times, while Jones studied his writings and tape recordings in his sermons. The temple printed Divine's text for its members began to preach that members should abstain from sex and only adopt children. In 1959, in a sermon in his Delaware Street temple, Jones tested the new fiery bloody style that Divine used. You know, you see a lot of TV evangelists use like fire and brimstone and really get the fear into people, basically, in a nutshell. His speech captivated members with lulls and crescendos as Jones challenged individual members in front of the group. The speech also marked the beginning of the temple's underlying us versus them message. Jones carefully wrote that the temple's home for senior citizens was established on this basis, for each according to the ability, to each according to its needs, quoting Karl Marx's Quit for the Gotha program. He also known that his Christian audience would recognize the similarities with the text from Acts of the Apostles, 4:34-35. In the book of... That's the book of Psalms, is it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it is, actually. Which stated, distribution was made to each as any had need. Jones would repeatedly cite the passage to paint Jesus Christ as a communist. while at the same time attacking much of the text of the Bible. The temple began tightening its organisation, asking more of its members than others in churches. He required members spend Thanksgiving and Christmas with the temple family, rather with blood relatives. The beginning process was wean members from their families and redirect their lives towards a total commitment to the temple's social and political goals. Jones began to offer a deal towards socialist collective, which referred to as religious communism, in which members would donate their material possessions to the temple in exchange for the temple meeting all their members' needs. Pastor James was one of the first to commit. However, the temple had little luck converting most Midwesterners to communist ideas, even when disguised as religion. Admiring Fidel Castro's 1959 overthrow of the Bastilla in Cuba, Jones travelled to Cuba in 1960 to attempt to convert poor Cuban blacks to move to his congregation in Indiana, but the plan failed. The temple's religious message transitioned during this period to one trending between atheism and the subtle notion that Jones was a Christ-like figure. While temple astrologers complained privately, Jones said that the new message was needed to foster members' dedication to the temple's larger goals. Jones maintained such implications until the mid to late 1970s. In 1961, Jones claimed that he had a vision of Chicago becoming under a nuclear attack. He claimed that Indianapolis would also be destroyed. Convincing aides that the temple needed to look for a new location, in 1962, in Esquire magazine article listed the 9 safest places to be in a nuclear war, with Belo Horizonte, I'm butchering these words, dude, in Brazil, topping the list because of its location and atmospheric conditions. Jones travelled through Brazil from 1962 through to the early 1963. He requested money from the temple while in Rio de Janeiro, but the temple lacked adequate funds for such a program because it was shrinking finances and Jones absent. Jones sent a preacher that he had become a follower into Brazil back to Indiana to help stabilize the temple. But wait, there's more. So basically what it is, this guy has used marketing and he's getting his followers to do all sorts of weird things. Now, I'm sure people would rather hear about the more sort of the sinister side. Now, basically this went on for many, many years. And in my lifetime, in 1974, the People's Temple signed a lease to rent land in Guyana. The community created on its property was called the People's Temple Agricultural Project, or informally Jonestown. It had as few as 50 residents in the early 1977. Jones saw Jonestown as both a socialist paradise and a sanctuary from media scrutiny, and had started with king-solving articles. Former temple member Tim Carter describes the reasons for the move to Jonestown as, in 1974, that we saw in the United States was creeping fascism. No, fascist. Carter explained, it was apparent that corporations for the multinationals were getting much larger. Their influence was growing within the government and the United States as a racist place. Carter said the temple concluded that Guyana was a place in a black country where black members could live in peace. It was a social government and it was the only English-speaking country in South America. Increasing media scrutiny based upon allegations by former members placed further pressure on Jones in 1977. In particular, an article by Marshall Kidduff in New West magazine. Just before the publication of the New West piece, editor Rosalie Wright telephoned Jones to read him the article. Wright explained that she was only doing it so before public publication because all the support letters we received on your behalf from the Governor of California, Jerry Brown, and others. While still on the phone listening to the allegations contained in the article, Jones wrote a note to temple members in the room with him and said, "We leave tonight. Notify Georgetown." After Jim Jones left Guyana, he encouraged temple members to follow him there. The population grew to over 900 by the late 1978. For those who moved were promised a tropical paradise, free from supposed wickedness from the outside world. On November 17, 1978, Leo Ryan, a congressman with the San Francisco area, investigating claims of abuse within the People's Temple, visited Jonestown. During the visit, a number of temple members expressed a desire to leave with the congressman. And on the afternoon of November 18, these members accompanied Ryan to the local airstrip of Port Kitapama, where they were intercepted by temple security guards who opened fire on the group, killing Congressman Ryan, 3 journalists, and one of the temple defectors. A few seconds of gunfire from the incidents were captured on video by Bob Brown, one of the journalists killed in the attack. On the evening of November 18 in Jonestown, Jones ordered his congregation to drink a concoction of cyanide-laced grape-flavor aid. Parents were instructed to inject their children with the same drink because they were under a certain age. In all, 918 people died, including 276 children. It was the greatest single loss of American civilian life in a non-natural disaster until the events of September, of course, we said before, in 2001. This includes that 4 died at the temple headquarters in Georgetown that night. Congressman Leo Ryan became the only congressman murdered in the line of duty in the United States history. Wow. I mean, this is amazing. The temple's San Francisco headquarters came under siege by national media and relatives of the Jonestown victims. The event became one of the most known in the events of history and measured by the Gallup poll and appeared at the cover of several magazines, including Time magazine and newspapers for months. In addition, according to various press reports, after the Jonestown suicide, surviving temple members in the US announced their fears of being targeted by a hit squad of Jonestown survivors. Similarly, in 1979, the Associated Press reported the claim that the US congressional aid that there were 120 white brainwashed assassins out of Jonestown are waiting to trigger the world to pick up their hit. So basically wrapping this up, at the end of 1978, the temple declared bankruptcy and its assets went into receivership. A few temple members remained in Guam through 1979 to wrap up the movement's affairs and return to the US. The temples built in Los Angeles, 1366 S. Alvarado Street in Neapolis and Redwood Valley are intact, and some are used by church congregations. The Central Spanish Seventh-day Adventist Church is currently located in the temple's former Los Angeles building at 1366 South Avenue. The majority of the temple documents remain classified despite freedom of information requests from numerous people over the past decades. Well, there you go.
Huge.
That is amazing. And you can check out this information if you go online too. If you want to know more about the People's Temple, they've actually got a lot of information regarding this. And yeah, it's just hard to believe that so many people followed this nutter into the afterlife, because basically he was being caught out.
Yeah.
It was comes down to he was being caught out.
Yeah,
and
it was quite literally just him being caught out. And,
yeah, well, that's
took
right.
everybody
and
with him. So
and he took a heap of his members with him. So we're going to get Liam now to read out the next story of, what is it? Crazy Cults. Right, look, because of my lack of speaking ability tonight, because I'm probably tired as all buggery, I'm going to get Liam read out the stories. Now, we're going to condense them down. You heard probably the main one that I found the most interesting was the People's Temple. So what we're going to read out the ones that are just short. We're going to try and fit as many as we can within the hour. And if you have a particular group you want more information about, we'll dig it up for you.
yep.
How
So
does that
yeah,
sound?
so send names through if you're interested in any other particular one that we don't touch on, or any of the ones that we have touched on.
Because seriously, man, I'm speaking like a epileptic rabbit tonight. I just cannot get stuff out properly. It's just all tongue-tied. So what's next on the hit list?
Okay, the next one on the hit list is Aum Shinrikyo from Japan. So information that we have on them. It's founded sometime in the mid-1980s. Shinrikyo is famous for attacking Tokyo's subway system with sarin gas in 1995, killing 12 and injuring more than 5,000.
Injuring more than 5,000 people.
So that's a...
I remember that.
Yeah.
I
so
remember he was quite infamous in the news, wasn't he?
He was.
Around that time for being... And it was very unusual to have a Japanese cult leader. It's just not heard about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just and he grew the beard and all the rest of it too, didn't he? He was
it's a bit of a
chubby bugger.
A queer looking chap.
Yeah.
So the cult's beliefs are often described as a hodgepodge of destructive aspects of various religions, and while many followers through it thought they would develop supernatural powers, others relish the chance to fight Japanese materialism.
So there you go. So that's the subway tunnel one.
Yeah, subway sarin gas attack one. So that sounds quite interesting. It sounds like a bit of a mix. Some people think they're going to get supernatural powers, and other people just being sort of politically active. And
that's 5,000 people.
That's
injured.
That's
I
a lot of
suppose it's
people.
a subway tunnel.
Yeah, and it's all being underground. It's all completely sealed, so
Yeah,
you've got
man.
nowhere left to run, do you?
All right, so that's one we can look at a later date. What else we got?
Okay, what else do we have here? Okay, Heaven's Gate.
I remember them.
So followers of the Heaven's Gate cult led primarily...
That's not the 1980s movie Heaven's Gate, is it?
No.
Oh, okay, this is a cult.
This is a cult.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking about the movie Heaven's Gate, 1987.
Yeah.
No. Okay, I'll shut up now.
So led primarily by Marshall Applewhite, thought Earth and everything on it were about to be recycled to a clean slate, and believed hitching a ride on a comet Hale-Bopp in March 1997 could allow them to survive. 39 members, including Applewhite, poisoned themselves in shifts in a California mansion, wearing Nike sneakers and armbands that read Heaven's Gate Away Team.
That's right, because they're what you were saying earlier on tonight when we were talking about doing this as a subject matter, the fact that they could only get a lift if they were
they had
dead
to be like released from their earthly vessels to be able to get on the comet and go to the Martian planet.
Sweet. And they wore Nikes in black. That reminds me of the Family Guy episode. Or drinking the poison Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I remember at the
that's
time
terrible.
there was, Nike were up in arms over it because it's probably the worst marketing they've ever had.
history.
So.
All right, so that's another nutter. What's another nutter we have?
Another nutter, let's have a look. Okay, the Manson family.
Yeah, well, he's still around.
He certainly is.
He was born in 1934 from memory. Charles Manson.
yeah,
I think it was 1934. Yeah, he's in his 70s.
Yeah,
he's still in jail. And he actually, just a bit of trivia for you, he wrote a lot of music back in his nutter days.
Yeah.
And a lot of bands have produced covers of his songs.
Well, at one stage he was linked in with the... I can't remember.
One of the Beach Boys. Yeah, one of the Beach Boys. Yeah, he was linked with one of the Beach Boys. Now, that's the Tate murders, isn't it?
It certainly is.
And just a bit of a quick one on that. There's that house up that was... You probably guys have seen it on... I think they did an episode on Ghost Hunters where they actually investigated this.
Yeah,
one of the original episodes.
One of the main... Yeah,
that's when the K2 meter came into it. And that's when they started.
Yeah, actually, it was Ghost Hunters, and it was
K2.
the first with the K2.
Yeah, that's right. I remember seeing that. And so just a quick story about this house. You guys probably know about it already, but this bloke and his father built this house, and it's just up, I think it's about 100 metres up the road or something from the actual house itself, but he reckons that it's haunted by the people who, from the Tate murders, or the Manson family... Yeah, the murder, and that's where the Ghost Hunters episode came into it. Interesting. So I keep going. There's a bit more stuff there.
So it's Charles Manson, who learned to play guitar in prison, formed his infamous family of criminals in 1968. He thought that an apocalyptic race war between whites and blacks would occur in 1969, after which the commune would rule the new world. When it didn't happen, he sent his followers on a string of murders to show blacks how to do it, but the victims Manson selected were those who had not helped him with his music career.
There you go. That's where and they reckoned Yeah, it was the cleaner actually found the bodies. The cleaner coming the next day, the lady who was cleaning the house found them all.
Yep.
And that's where this guy reckons I can't remember the guy's name now, but from my understanding, I think Ghost Adventures have been in there, a lot of documentaries have been in there. And like I said, that's when the K2 meter sort of come into its own when it first got done. But that was before, with the K2 meter, but the original ones, you could slightly press it.
Yep.
Like
You
slightly.
just, give it a tap to get it to
tap
read.
it and it reacts. And of course, they're terrible around mobile phones and everything like that. I'm not a fan of the K2, so that's just my opinion.
I was going to say a bit of trivia. I'm sure I remember back in 9 Inch Nails days for the film clip for Closer was, I'm pretty sure, filmed in that house as well.
Yeah, they have filmed music videos, and
So I remember there being, that would have been, mid 90s. There was quite a bit of furor over it, and it was very controversial.
Yeah, where the murder's actually not that house, because that house is not that old. That this guy reckons he has members. Who was the because Sharon Tate was pregnant.
Yep.
And who was a guy that she was? What's his name?
Oh, that's horrible. It's completely skipped my big name Hollywood producer.
Producer, yeah. Sorry, guys, we're just having mental blanks tonight. That's decent impediment. So what else we got? So that's one nutter we're looking at was him.
Okay, the next one is the Branch Davidians.
Oh, the Waco. No?
So, yes.
It was
Waco,
Waco,
Texas.
Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, if you don't know Brisbane, we have our own Waco.
Oh, but this is Waco.
Oh, Waco. Yeah, we got Waco. Yeah, Waco.
Close.
Sorry. Yeah.
We got a
Move the L.
mental asylum in Waco.
We got a mental asylum in Waco that no one's allowed into.
Yeah, so they add an extra L for lunatic.
Yeah, I think they must have. Anyway, so what's the quick story? Because if you guys remember, so I remember watching this being played out on the news. So what year did that happen?
So this was 1993. So considered to be a major split from Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Branch Davidians are famous for an FBI raid on their Waco, Texas compound that left 76 dead. The event more or less resulted in the disappearance of what many consider to be a cult, which believed in an imminent apocalypse.
But he also claimed to be the Lamb.
So that was David Koresh.
Koresh. He from my memory of reading and seeing the news, because like if you're born before 93, then you're a bit old and understood it. But if you're still a young one and you haven't heard of David Koresh, he reckons he was the Lamb of God.
Yeah, he was sort of almost like the second coming of Jesus.
And no one else was allowed to get busy, but he was actually fathering most of the kids himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he was the Lamb. Yeah, he was the only one who was allowed to touch any woman there and stuff like that. But his followers were absolutely
they were
devoted.
fanatical.
Absolutely fanatical.
And I think what that little blurb doesn't explain that. It wasn't sort of just an FBI raid. It was a siege that lasted
days, didn't it?
Yeah, considerable period of time until massive shootout until they ended up setting the commune on fire, and they pretty much all burnt to death in the commune.
Yeah, but there was children, and it was one of the probably because it got such an acclaim because it went on for so long, and actually made a movie on it.
Yeah, and huge investigation into it afterwards about why it had carried on so long, and hadn't been pulled up earlier, and over the loss of life that they'd suffered as a result. So
yeah, it wasn't just the cult members that died; it was ATF people, arms, drugs, and what was it? ATF, arms, tobacco, and something. ATF. It is the ATF, isn't it?
I think something like that.
Yeah, the FBI was involved, and all sorts of local police, and a lot of actually officers passed away.
They're all very heavily armed in the commune as well. So,
very heavily
they
armed.
Pretty much gave as good as they got
from
the FBI.
Yeah, machine guns. Yeah, that was a pretty bad one actually. So yeah, so he rates probably pretty high there on nutters.
Yeah,
Mr. Koresh.
So on to who we got next. My God, the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh's communities.
I think I could be in something like that. The Bangwang Shi, is it?
Bhagwan Sri.
Oh, Bhagwan Tree.
Rajneesh's communities. So let's have a look. It's Indian mystic Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh founded several cultist towns in Oregon through the 1980s. Strangely, communities chock full of Rolls-Royce cars. Sri allegedly poisoned hundreds in Dallas, Oregon, with salmonella bacteria in 1984 to rig local elections in his cult's favour. It's considered the first bioterrorist attack in the United States. So there you go. He gave everyone food poisoning.
Bloody hell. All right, he rates pretty high there
That's
for
a
Fruit
bit
Loops.
keen.
Just slightly.
So
But
kill
you think
everyone slowly with bad Chico rolls.
But yeah, I don't think I have Chico rolls in the States. I don't know. If you have Chico rolls in the States, let us know. What the hell's a Chico roll? I love Chico rolls. I cook them myself here. But that's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you think of the era. These late 60s, early 70s, into the 80s.
So yeah, we've not seen any in fairly recent times, really. Not nearly to the extent that
No, but
we were getting them
we
back
do
then.
have that Australian one, though, don't we?
We do.
What's that one called again?
So there was,
That's Sheila. That's
It had quite a bit of media attention, probably
still
almost like the
does.
last 10 years.
yeah, and but it's still supposed to be going. It might come up on our list of infamous crazies.
I was going to say, just the magnificent meal movement.
Oh, that's
out
it.
at Hellerton near Toowoomba.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, they've got quite a bit of media attention for being a bit of a bizarre religious offshoot.
They're everywhere, dude. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Sorry, what's the next one?
Next one, let's have a look, is the Order of the Solar Temple. There you go. Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
I've not heard of this one either. So Luc Jouret, a Belgian religious leader and neo-Nazi, reportedly started the group in 1984. So there you go, another 1980s one.
Yeah.
Under Christian guises, namely the Second Coming of Christ and the Knights Templar. Jouret and other leaders in a Swiss village allegedly sacrificed a child that they thought was the Antichrist in 1994, days later committing suicide with dozens of followers. The French consider the organisation to be criminal today. So there you go, it's still going.
And they're still bopping each other off.
They must be.
Oh, goodness me. All right, next crazy.
Okay, next on our list of crazy is Villa Baviera, also known as Colonia Dignidad. There you go, Dignidad Colony in English. Villa Baviera is a commune of German immigrants that was founded in 1961 by Paul Schaefer Snyder, a former Nazi Party member. Human rights groups argue Chile's secret police used the compound to torture and interrogate suspects, and former members have since issued apologies for molesting children.
And that's what grates my goat about all this. We've got, right, I'm Catholic, right? Rose a Catholic, all the rest of it. And what I like the new Pope, right? I think he's pretty cool dude. I didn't like the old one. Loved Paul,
Yep.
John Paul II, because he was the people's Pope. The other guy was just, I don't know, he wasn't very, you didn't hear much about him.
Yeah.
The new Pope seems to be really good. But if you look at the statistics of Catholic priests and child molestation, it's just mind-blowing. And you got to feel for these people who were victims. So we're talking about cults, but have a look at the fact that major religion as well has its own deep, dark, dirty secrets.
Well, I mean, that's when you have a look at it, even the major religions, in a sort of in its broadest sense would be considered cults. I mean, most of these are, were religious orders that just ended up going bad. So, they've all sort of got their, they all start in the one place. It's just every so often you get these offshoots, that just track off in the wrong direction. And
yeah, but it's just, I'm just flabbergasted by the cover-ups and all this other crap that goes on within certain religious organisations.
Yep.
Look, I'm not down in any religious organisation, but at the same time, if a priest or something has been caught or has been done for crimes that are just unspeakable, they should be brought and dealt with the full force of the law.
Yeah, they should be outed and yeah.
They should not be. They should be held accountable. They shouldn't be
swept under the carpet. And they shouldn't be protected.
Well, we'll look at the in Rockhampton that orphanage in Rockhampton. What was that called? It was in Graceville, Gracemere.
Gracemere, yeah.
The Gracemere orphanage. For years, there was so much stuff going on regarding child abuse, rapes of children, all this horrible crap that went on. And there was a lot of kids that just died there. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of graves there that are unmarked. Or you know what I mean? And if you look past the history of that around that area, it's just absolutely shocking the amount of bad stuff these monsters did.
Yeah.
And the children's are the one that suffer. But the thing is, mate, children grow up.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, it's a sad thing too, is that only up until fairly recently, I mean, this was, especially through the orphanages and, sort of for disabled homes and that kind of thing, it was pretty widespread too, because they were, being institutions, they had pretty much closed doors and...
Easy targets.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, mate, to be honest with you, I'm very fascinated about Charles Manson.
Yep.
And the Tate. And we're going back, we're going back in time of the show now.
We're retracing
now, I'm
our
sure
steps.
people are going to say to me, Brad, why didn't you read more about Charles Manson? Right, now I've got some information here I think we'll finish off the show with tonight. You know what I mean? It gives people more... And look, we'll touch on other groups and stuff like that, and because, there's so many crackpots out there.
Yeah.
And cults and stuff like that. But I've always been fascinated by this guy. Now, even though Charles Manson didn't technically murder anyone with his own hands, and this is saying he is responsible for the deaths of several innocent people and the crimes he committed, as known as the Charles Manson or the Manson family murders. Manson had a very charismatic personality and preyed on homeless or runaway women, particularly women looking to rebel and live freely during the 60s. He started to refer to it as a cult before long. Manson had a large group of followers who believed him to be the most godlike. His group of followers came to be known as the Manson family. Manson convinced his followers that there was a war being fought between the blacks and the whites, as we mentioned before, during the late 60s, and eventually the apocalypse would follow. But Manson and his followers were chosen to continue humanity by living underground in Death Valley Park in California. His idea was known as Helter Skelter.
Yeah, which is where the Beatles
song,
link came in.
Which is also a hit Beatles song. He believed that the subliminal messages for him were Beatles. He reckons the music was for him. It was written for him. And that's where the crazies come in. As time passed and Manson became more deranged and poisoned the minds of his followers, he convinced his followers that they worked to kickstart his racial war he had termed as Helter Skelter. On August the 8th, 1969, 4 of his followers, Susan Atkins, Charles Watson, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kaspian, something like that, were sent to a random location Manson chose and directed to kill all people there. Inside was Sharon Tate and 3 others during the Abigail, and including Abigail Folger, Jay Sebring, and Wojciech Frywowski. All 6 were tortured and murdered in cold blood by members of the Manson family. It was ascribed by the officers and others attending the scene that the bloodiest, worst crime scene in history. The event went down in history as the Tate murders. The next night, August 9th, determined the trigger of the beginning of Helter Skelter. Six Manson family members committed more murders known as the Labanza murders. Atkin, Watson, Krenwinkel, and Kabastian were joined by followers Leslie Van Houten and Stephen Krogan. And again, they tortured and viciously murdered an innocent couple, Leno and Rosemary LaBranca, inside their own home. The Manson family also were involved in 2 other murders, not as well known as the LaBranca and the Tate murders. The victims were Bernard Crowell and Gary Heinemann. Eventually, authorities caught Manson and his followers after a motorcycle gang provided detectives a clue, and a cellmate of one of the suspects talked linking the murders to the Manson family. The Manson family trial was heavily covered by the media, and one of the most high-profile trials in history. Nearly 8 months into the trial, Manson followers were convicted. Atkins, Krenwinkel, Sebastian, and Van Houten were sentenced to death. Watson was tried separately and sentenced to death, and the conspirator Charles Manson was sentenced to death. All sentences except for Watson's were reduced to life imprisonment due to be abolished of the death penalty in California in 1972. Charles Manson and the Manson family murders remain infamous still to this day, terrifying the masses. So there you go. He physically didn't do the murders himself, but he
was responsible for calling them.
So there you go. I thought that was very, very interesting.
So I was
just
going
a
to
bit
say,
more about him.
Yeah, a bit of extra information, recent stuff.
Yep.
So Manson was denied parole for the 12th time on April 11 last year. So on his 12th application for parole, and did not attend the hearing where prison officials argued that he had a history of controlling behaviour and mental health issues, including schizophrenia and paranoid delusional disorder, and was too great a danger to be released. It was determined that Manson would not be reconsidered for parole for another 15 years, at which time he will be 92.
I'm surprised he's lasted as long as he has in prison. But he still gives interviews and stuff, doesn't he?
He does, so...
And people, he's probably got a bigger cult following today, than what he had. There's people that still think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
Which is really weird.
I was going to say there's a little bit extra. On
Yeah.
October 4th, 2012, Bruce Davis, who had been convicted of the murder of Shorty Shea and the attempted robbery by Manson family members of a Hawthorne gun shop in 1971, was recommended for parole by the California Department of Corrections at his 27th parole hearing. So that's 27th. In 2010, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger had reversed the board's previous finding in favour of Davis, denying him parole for 2 more years. So on March the 1st this year, 2013, Governor Jerry Brown also denied his parole.
Oh, what a shame. Heart bleeds.
Yep.
But imagine having that much power over someone or over a group of people to... And this is what I find fascinating about cults. Now, we've dwelled on some of the cults tonight, and I'm sure there's plenty others out there that I'll be contacted by the zombie listeners that they'd like to hear about. Now, don't forget, boys and girls out there, if you listen to the zombie, if you like the stories we read, we're always after more information, more stuff to read out to the masses out there. You can go across to the Facebook fan page. Go across the Naked Zombie Radio on Facebook, hit the likey button, and become a member of the Naked Zombie Army, as I like to call it, or the Naked Zombie listeners, because we love you all, don't we?
We do.
So, technically, what I'm saying is, like, our Facebook fan site is more like a cult, isn't it?
It is.
What if I can get them to do my bidding? Wash my 3-day-old underwear. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, we've got a call. Go across to the fan site, click the like button, leave us some messages, get in contact with us. We love hearing your stories. We love hearing from our audience. Because your audience, you're the awesome ones.
They are.
They are awesome,
So
aren't they?
without the audience, we wouldn't have a radio show.
Without Liam, I wouldn't have a radio show.
We'd just be talking
Or
to
Glenn.
one another.
Or Andrew. Oh, by the way, if you heard last night's show, I said that Andrew had to return my voice recording equipment. He actually texted me when he was listening to it. He said, I'll be around next week. And I said, I'm only kidding, buddy. I'm having a stay. Paul, he's doing an awesome job. Actually, I rang him today, and, awesome job. What else news we got? Next Friday night is the Moonlight Tours.
Yep. Next Moonlight Tour for South Brisbane Cemetery. So, anyone keen to go for what? It's going to be a special one next Friday.
Because I'm going.
Yeah, because you're going, and under the full moon as well. So, Yeah.
Not that it's special I'm going, it's just saying I'll be going. Yeah. So if you want to come along, and I hate doing this, if you want to come along and meet, you come along to the next Moonlight Tours at the South Brisbane Cemetery, also known as Dutton Park Cemetery.
Yep.
Go along to there. And how much is it to go to this awesome historical
So-
and the best tour in Brisbane ever?
$15.
And
So
you
there
get
you
how
go.
many hours of
So-
awesomeness?
Oh, it's usually at least 2.
Yeah, and
we
it's-
have been known to extend it to 3 or 3.5.
And you can
so-
take lots of photos, and you get lots of cool stuff happening there at the cemetery. I was there the other night because I just love the place. It's so historic. And why do you want to go to the South Brisbane Cemetery tours? Because it's full of history, and this is where convicts were buried from Boggo Road.
That's right.
They have their own section. We have the captain of the Pearl
Yep.
buried there. You know, we have all this famous history in this one location, and the stories behind it that Liam and the team of South Brisbane Cemetery Tours, or do is look. I love it. I'm going again. I'm taking my big still camera with me, and my
So
big
your
light,
big stick.
my big stick, because you'll need it.
Fend
Because I've
off
had some
the-
real weird, freaky stuff happen in that place. So don't forget. Next Friday night, the date will be the
24th of May
24th of May. What time?
at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Be there or be somewhere
Yeah,
else.
so I was going to say, jump across to the Facebook page it's South Brisbane Cemetery Moonlight Tours.
Yep.
And all the info will be there for the tour and where we meet and times
And all the rest is like, go along, you just show up, pay your $15 and get a great tour. I love it. Look, just because, they're friends and everything, but I've been on the tour, I love it. And don't forget about the Naked Zombie fan site. And also, you can email me at brad@brad-scott.com. That is brad@brad-scott.com. If you wish to leave me a message, or you wish to get in contact me or anyone of the team of the Naked
chain
Zombie
letters and
chain letters and special photos, those type of photos that only the wife will never ever see. I'm kidding. Don't send me any more of those photos. I got a lot of explaining to do, thanks to you lot. But yeah, so that's great. And anything else we want to do before we wrap up tonight's show? We only scratched the surface, didn't we?
yeah, it's only a tiny amount. It's like the episode that we did a few episodes ago about serial killers.
Australian serial killers. We
and then
didn't
realised
scratch the-
exactly how in depth it was and how many there were.
Well, what we're going to do for you guys, so you're not missing out, we're going to track down more Australian serial killers, more serial killers from overseas.
I hope we're just information about them. We're not actually going to go and track them down.
No, I'm going out. Did you know, and this is a statistical fact, there is, over in the States, and I read this information today about serial killers, just for you people living over in the States, at any one time, there is a minimum, I think it was 2,500 serial killers in the States at this date and time.
So active
serial killers.
Bloody hell.
2005, something like that. I dragged it up today because I was researching a bit of information. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into the whole thing of we're going to pick a subject, like a certain serial killer or a certain cult, or so, and we're going to get you all the information and all the stories and all the histories about it, instead of rabbling off a few bits and pieces because we just run out of time. And we're going to concentrate one at a time and give you the full in-depth story, or a couple full in-depth story, so you'll get more information that way. But if you have a certain subject or item or anything that you want to bring across and you want to tell us about, go to the Naked Zombie website. You can email me at brad@brad-scott.com, or go to the Facebook site and leave me a message and hit that like button, because we love you guys.
Hit
We like
the like while you're there.
Hit the like while you're there, and don't forget to tell your friends. We're free.
Share the zombie love around.
Share the zombie love. That's right. We're going to share that love all over the place, man. There'll be like zombie love everywhere.
So one of those podcasts that you can download for free and share around and not have the piracy police after you.
Share that zombie love. Yeah. All right, so you've been listening to the best in Australian paranormal pop culture radio. Everything from ghosts, demons, spooks, to cryptozoology, to serial killers, and to the occult. Naked Zombie Radio. And thank you again for joining us for another awesome night talking to you people, because you're just the best. And Liam?
Stay safe. Share the love.
Share the love. And like I say each week, or no, I don't say it each week. Every now and then I say on the show, if you're out doing stuff to each other, just don't get caught doing it.
That's right.
I'm Brad Scott, and you have been listening to
The Naked Zombie.
The Naked Zombie. Good night, all, and we'll see you all
Night.
tomorrow night.
Yeah, baby. You wanna share that zombie love. Go across to the Facebook fan site and press that button. You press that button so well. Zombie love, people. Zombie love. I've noticed something about you. You still haven't pressed that button. You know that button that just makes you go, that felt mighty good. Press that naked zombie button, like that page, and while you're there, tell your sexy friends about the naked zombie. That's right. Who's your daddy?